Hi guys and welcome back. Today I'm talking about storytelling in artwork. I am super excited to be talking about this because it's something that can really transform your artwork and your process so that it can be so much more interesting and inspiring and insightful. And I really love striving for those things in my own work. So yeah, it'll be fun to be able to just break that down, talk a bit about it. But as usual, I do want to give a really quick thank you to the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. And most of you have probably heard of Skillshare by now, but they are an amazing online learning community. They have thousands of classes that are taught by amazing artists and teachers, and they have just an incredible amount of classes that are based around creative endeavors and other topics that are also incredibly inspiring. I love being able to go over there and find new ideas, find new tips and skills that I can use to hone my own skills. So yes, it's a very insightful and really creatively charged place to go hang out. I love it. It's also very affordable. They have annual plans that are less than $10 a month. And I actually have a coupon code for the first 1,000 people to use that down in the description. And that code will get you a free trial of Skillshare Premium. So you can go check it out and see how you like it, see if it connects with you. But let's jump in with the video, with the topic at hand. So the class that I decided to jumpstart this painting with over on Skillshare is the art of visual storytelling, how comics work. And that was taught by Phil Jimenez, and this was really insightful. He talks about it in terms of creating a comic, which can also be really helpful if that's what you're interested in. But there were a lot of little gems that I picked up for working in more of an illustrative approach to this, where I usually am just working on one-off pieces. But when it comes time to putting a story into your artwork, it really can be a huge variation of how involved that is, from simply having a basic idea of who that character is that you're painting and why the details are present in his or her clothing and the environment, up to showing a snippet of a full story with lots of characters involved and a whole setting and environment and other background characters. You can have a whole range of that. Or it can also be something that, even if it's a more surreal painting, it has a meaning and a purpose behind it. And yeah, I've been really trying to start each painting off thinking about what's the story here, what's the meaning, what is the connection there. And just taking that moment to think through that has really improved how much I love working on my pieces. So I highly suggest taking a little moment before you either start sketching or while you're sketching to think about, what's a story that I can put into this piece? What's an interesting element that could drive this character or multiple characters? I love thinking about that because it's something that doesn't even have to be apparent in the final piece. That's what makes it so fun, is that it can be this little mystery that you as the artist know is there, but then as the viewer, we get to look at it and see these pieces of artwork and interpret it our own ways. So yeah, you can have a huge variation of how much you put into the piece that actually tells the story. And I find going into a piece already knowing what the story is, or at least the basic idea of what it's going to be, deeply improves it, because I find that it pushes me into a realm that's much more creative. Because if I have a story and I have a character that needs to represent certain elements, I find that instead of just doing a normal approach to something or a normal icon or element, it pushes me to think about, well, how can I adapt that into something that's more well fitted to the story that I'm trying to portray. So for this piece that I have, that I'm working on right now with the two characters, I wanted to represent this almost like a curse element that was going on. And I wanted it to be a little bit unclear exactly what the role of the female character is in this piece, whether she's the one that is cursing him or if she's simply sympathetic to his situation. But I also wanted her to feel very ethereal and unhuman in a certain way. So I was looking for certain details that I could put into her character that would put her into a realm that felt like maybe he had been cursed and he's looking for a solution or a way to undo it, and he finds her during his journey and his path. So for that female character on the right, I wanted to have these like crystalline broken glass elements. So I put that in her hair. I also had some of those shards on her face and around her arms, and because that element was there, even though it wasn't strictly tied into a specific idea of what they're there for, the idea that I wanted her to feel this way, and I wanted to create that kind of uncertainty of whether she is benevolent or not, whether she means more harm than good. I liked the idea of these sharp little but beautiful elements that are part of her character. So by doing that, I was able to put in those details that weren't normal details that I tend to gravitate towards and just muscle memory draw, and then it ends up being really repetitious with the other pieces that I've done. So yeah, that's just one little example of how having a story allows me, at least, to be able to go down different paths and avenues and look for different connections and different ways of showing things, different details to put in that are different from what I normally draw from and pull from. One thing that I really want to do more of is I want to create more pieces that have multiple characters within them. That instantly creates more mystery and more questions for the viewer to answer, as well as myself while I'm working on it, because it makes you think about, well, what are the relationships between the characters, what are conflicts that they might be having, what is the story that those two are taking part in. And I don't know, it just makes me think a lot more about the story, about the background, about where they're going, than when I'm working on just a single character, or at least it's a lot easier to put myself into that mind space. I've looked back at my own pieces that have multiple characters, and pretty much all of them had some sort of story that I was thinking about while I was working on it. So yeah, that's just a little thing for myself that I realize I really enjoy painting and drawing and thinking about. But anyways, yeah, there are so many ways to be able to put more story into your pieces. Putting backgrounds is a big one. That was something that I didn't do a lot of not that long ago, and now I really love thinking through how to extend the story of the character that I'm painting into the background. Figuring out, where are they? Why are they there? What's the conflict that drove them there? Or what's keeping them there? There's so many fun, exciting questions that you can ask yourself when you're working on the details of a whole piece, but also the background, what clothing they're wearing, what state they're in. I love showing little scratches or injuries, or even things that should be fatal but aren't in that situation for that character, and then it opens up this question of why are they still standing, why are they okay or seemingly okay. There's just so many fun questions to ask while you're working on pieces like this when you're wanting to infuse stories, but being able to think about it at the beginning of a painting or a beginning of a sketch, I find is so much more helpful, because it does allow me to actually think about where I can put those storytelling elements into the piece, throughout the piece while I'm working on it, so that everything is as fine-tuned as possible for that story. One of my favorite and easiest ways to start putting my mind into a more story-oriented place is to start thinking about the characters, the people that I am drawing and painting as actual people. So I like to sit down and think about what are their challenges, what is this issue that they're dealing with, that they're fighting with, what are their desires or wants, what are their likes, what are the things that they dislike, what are the tastes that they have, and it's a really fun path to start thinking down, but it also allows me to start thinking about the character and the environment and the painting as something beyond what it initially was. It lets me start looking for ways that I can make that character really become its own, his or her own person, And I like being able to think that way. It makes it a lot easier to start thinking about details that are unique to that painting, that start pushing it in a direction that I wouldn't necessarily default to, which is nice. But this is a really big topic, so I have a lot of learning to do as far as learning how and what kind of stories I want in my pieces, and learning to remember to always put those in my work, because I'm so much happier when I'm more story oriented with my paintings. So I'd like to do that more. I'd like to figure out what kind of stories I really want to say with my work, what emotions and conflicts I want to portray for my artwork, and the things that I want to focus on and actually create. So I don't know. This is an exciting path that has a lot of different avenues, just as much as like style for an artist. There's just so much personality that we can put into the stories that we're creating, and I find that really exciting. And don't forget to check out Skillshare. I've got that link for the first 1,000 people down in the description with that code to get a free trial to go check out Skillshare Premium. And I also have this painting available as a print at my shop. There's also the original painting as well, so I have all that linked below. And I do want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. As always, you are all amazing. I cannot thank you enough for the support that you show me. You help me to create artwork every day, so thank you for that. And that is it for today. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.